puedo disfrutar.
Y la orquesta.
Hello and welcome to The Prodigal. I'm your host, Neil Thomas, and today I want to talk to you about Christmas. You know, if you're anything like me, you are eagerly anticipating, you're looking forward to the extra long holiday weekend. And as my gift to you, I want to send you off with some fun Christmas facts. So please feel free to use these interesting conversation starters at your next Christmas party, your next work party, your next work Christmas party or gatherings. What are the origins of Christmas? What are the origins of Christmas? You know, the origins of Christmas, they stem from both the pagan and Roman cultures. The Romans actually celebrated two holidays in the month of December. The first was what was named Saturnalia, which was a 2-week-long festival honoring their god of agriculture named Saturn. On December 25th, they celebrated the birth of Mithra, their sun god. And both celebrations were riotous, drunken parties. And also in December, in which the darkest day of the year falls, the pagan cultures, they lit bonfires and candles to keep darkness at bay. The Romans also incorporated this tradition into their own celebrations. And as Christianity spread across Europe, the Christian clergy were not able to curb the pagan customs and the celebrations. And since nobody knew the date of our Lord Jesus Christ's birth, they adapted the pagan ritual into a celebration of his birthday. So why do we have Christmas trees? That's a good question. As part of the solstice celebrations, the pagan cultures would decorate their homes with green plants. They would bring them inside in anticipation of the spring that was coming. And evergreen trees remained green during the coldest and darkest days, so they were thought to have special powers. And the Romans also decorated their temples, their religious temples, with fir trees during Saturnalia, and they decorated them with little bits of pretty metal. There were even records of the Greeks decorating trees in honor of their gods. And interestingly enough, the first trees brought into the pagan homes were actually hung from the ceilings upside down. The tree tradition that we are accustomed to today, it comes from Northern Europe, where the Germanic and pagan tribes decorated evergreen trees in worship of the god Woden with candles and dry fruit. And the tradition was incorporated into the Christian faith in Germany during the 1500s. They decorated trees in their homes with sweets and candles and little small toys. So, how did the idea of Santa Claus come about? Well, at one time, Santa was actually a real person. He lived about 1700 years ago. Santa was inspired by a man named Saint Nicholas. This Christmas tradition has Christian roots rather than pagan roots. Saint Nicholas, he was born in southern Turkey about 280 years after Jesus Christ was born. He was a bishop in the early Christian church, and he suffered persecution and imprisonment for his faith. And coming from a wealthy family, he was renowned for his generosity towards the poor, towards the disenfranchised. And the legends surrounding him are many, but the most famous is how he actually saved 3 young daughters from being sold into slavery. How did he do that? Well, there was no dowry to entice a man to marry any one of these 3, so it was their father's last resort of putting them up for slavery. But Saint Nicholas is said to have tossed gold coins through an open window into the house, thereby saving the young girls from their poverty and their fate of slavery. And legend has it that one of the gold coins actually landed in a sock drying by the fireplace. So children started hanging stockings by their fires in hopes that Saint Nicholas would toss coins or gifts into them. And in honor of his passing, December 6th was declared Saint Nicholas Day. And as time went on, each European culture adapted versions of St. Nicholas. In the Swiss and German cultures, Christkind or Christkindl, which means Christ child, actually accompanied St. Nicholas to deliver presents to well-behaved children. Jule Tomten was a happy elf delivering gifts via a sleigh drawn by goats in Sweden. Then there was Father Christmas in England, Père Noël in France, and in Belgium and France and parts of Germany, he was known as Sinterklaas. Claus, actually, for the record, is a shortened version of the name Nicholas. And this is where the Americanized Santa Claus comes from. So, what about Christmas in America? Well, Christmas in early America was kind of a mixed bag. Many people with Puritan beliefs, they banned Christmas because of its pagan origins and the riotous nature of the celebrations. And other immigrants arriving from Europe continued with the customs of their homelands. The Dutch brought Sinterklaas with them to New York in 1600s. The Germans brought their traditions of decorating the trees in the 1700s. And each celebrated their own way within their own communities. And it wasn't until the 1800s that the American Christmas began to take place. Washington Irving wrote a series of stories of a wealthy English landowner who invites his workers to have dinner with him. You see, Irving, he liked the idea of people of all backgrounds and social status coming together for a festive holiday. So, he told a tale that reminisced about old Christmas traditions that had been lost, but were restored by this wealthy landowner. And through Irving's story, the idea began to take hold in the hearts of the American population. In 1822, Clement Clark Moore, he wrote an account of a visit from St. Nicholas for his daughters. It's now famously known as The Night Before Christmas. In it, the modern idea of Santa Claus as a jolly man flying through the sky in a sleigh took hold. And later, in 1881, there was an artist by the name of Thomas Nast, and he was hired to draw a depiction of Santa Claus for a Coca-Cola advertisement. He created a rotund fat Santa with a wife named Mrs. Claus surrounded by worker elves. And after this, the image of Santa as a cheerful, fat, white-bearded man in a red suit became embedded in the American culture. Christmas is now a national holiday. It wasn't back then, but after the Civil War, the country was looking for ways to look past the differences and become united as a country. So in 1870, President Ulysses Grant declared a federal holiday. Christmas was a federal holiday. And while Christmas traditions have adapted with time, I think Washington Irving's desire for unity in celebration lives on. It's become a time of the year where we wish others well. We donate to our favorite charities. We give presents with a joyful spirit. So I want to wish you Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays. Wherever you may be, whatever traditions you may follow, I want to wish you the merriest of Christmases and the happiest of holidays.